You know the vibes. Another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast presented by NBA 2K22. And another night of the NBA playoffs in the book. Shout out to everyone who came to watch along with BJ Armstrong and myself. If you want to watch the games with us, you can interact with us in real time, have your questions answered. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the Hoop Genius Twitter page for the links and the info where you can get all the information, as we're going to be covering a whole lot more games from these conference finals. And there will be another game as the Dallas Mavericks won game number 4 to avoid being swept. And they'll head back to the Bay Area for a game number 5. BJ Armstrong, what a roller coaster this game was. We saw a big lead, we saw a lead cut down, and we saw the roof leaking with rain, causing a 16-minute delay at halftime. So what a journey it was. And, you know, the Mavericks came out and they were just knocking down their threes. And that's a theme they maintained for the whole night. And they were up big. They were up so big that they had a 30-point lead at the start of the fourth quarter. And that lead was so big that Steve Kerr pulled his starters out of the game. But what happened next was the bench players from the Golden State Warriors fought their way back. They cut the lead to single digits. And It was a little bit of a tense finish. So what are your takeaways, both positive and negative, for the Dallas Mavericks, first of all?
Well, the positive is you got to give Dallas Mavericks credit for responding in the fashion, in the way that they did. They really came out, they fought, they established that they were going to be aggressive, especially on the offensive end. They were attacking the basket and playing very well. I thought, early in the game, they really distributed the ball and they kind of spread it around a little bit. They weren't just settling early in the game, and that's what enabled them to get this early lead. If there's one thing that was negative, is that when you get a big lead, Mo, you have to finish the game, knock the opposing team out, especially in a 7-game series, because you don't want to give the opposing team any confidence. The Warriors now have confidence. The Warriors now can gain something from what they were able to achieve in this, in the fourth quarter, especially with their bench guys.
Big experience.
And that is
young guys like Moody and Kuminga. This is a big conference finals, fourth quarter, big experience for them.
Yeah. And the thing with, you saw the inexperience of the Dallas Mavericks too, of not understanding the task at hand. You got the lead, you've played well. You didn't get the lead because you were playing exceptionally well on the defensive end. You got the lead because you shot and you made shots. They were 8 for 10 at one stretch there in the third quarter. And when you're making shots, Mo, everything goes well. However, they went ice cold in the fourth quarter. And then the other team, the Golden State Warriors, were able to get back in the game. So, it was a Jekyll and Hyde type of game. Fortunately for the Dallas Mavericks, they won the game and they have an opportunity. They survived and they're going to move on to game 5. But Mo, I'm not confident. But you know what? You never know. Maybe they've learned the lesson. I'm sure Coach Kidd is going to show this to them. But overall, they really established some things and they really found out some things they can do, especially when they move the ball.
Well,
when they play as a team, they really have an opportunity, to really compete at a high level, and anything can happen.
The Dallas Mavericks scored 23 pointers. They finished shooting 46.5% from behind the arc. We've just not seen that type of production on the road, with the exception of that game 7. We've not seen the role players step up on that road games. In particular, Reggie Bullock, who went 6 from 10 from the 3-point line, and Dorian Finney-Smith, who went 4 of 7. Those guys combining for 10 threes. That's a huge bonus, and that's a huge part of why they won this game. I personally don't see them replicating that on the road. If you're the Warriors, what's your mindset and what's your game plan going into game 5 to ensure that this series doesn't continue any longer than it needs
to? Mo, let's finish the series. Now, they came out, mission accomplished. They got 1 game there in Dallas with an opportunity to get 2. So mission accomplished, very successful business trip for them. However, Mo, they have to finish this series now in game 5. Because if it goes any further, now, I'm concerned. Now I'm throwing up the red flags, going, okay, what's going on here? So mission accomplished, job well done, but you got to finish the series. And the most difficult series, or the most difficult game in a series is the closeout game. So I think if they can jump on the Dallas Mavericks early, I think the Mavericks will probably bow out. I think they will bow out gracefully. It's hard to lose at home, in front of your home fans. So, this is going to be interesting to see, because I know without question the Golden State Warriors want to finish this series and start getting some rest, getting themselves ready to play in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, what a game it was. Kuminga came in with 17 points off the bench. I think that's going to be huge for his confidence going forward. BJ, who is your Magic Johnson Conference Finals MVP for the Western Conference, assuming the Warriors take care of business in Game 5?
Steph Curry. I mean,
yeah,
without question. Steph Curry he's been magnificent. He's been great. And, the way he's playing and the things he's doing. So without question, he would be my, what is it?
Magic Johnson Western Conference Finals MVP.
I mean, I can't even keep track of all.
How are they going to inscribe all of that onto a trophy? I don't know. My question is this: the bench came in and cut the lead from 30 down to single digits. I believe they should have kept the bench in the game instead of bringing in Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and all these guys off the bench. Ice cold, having sat for 12 minutes, pretty much. I would have trusted in the bench guys. Bielitsa finished plus 18. Even Damian Lee finished plus 15. The bench guys did a great job. And I feel like they kind of deserved it to close that game out. Do you agree?
Well, I don't agree, Mo, because you're always teaching and you're always coaching. And the reason I don't agree with that is because of the following. Your starters are your starters for a reason. They are starters for a reason. And go ahead.
I mean, they are your stars for a reason. However, they were also the reason you were down 30 points heading into the fourth quarter.
Okay. Point well taken. However, those guys have gotten you to this point.
Yeah.
They got you here. They got you here. They had 3 quarters where they played bad. All right. Okay. They played bad for 3 quarters. Your bench came in and they did their job. The bench's job is to do the following: either maintain the lead, expand on the lead, or cut into the lead. They did their job. They were terrific. However, your bench guys, you have to put pressure on them to perform. And now the bench guys did their job. They came in, they played terrific basketball.
They forced the Mavs to check their stars back in as well, because the Mavs tried to put their bench out. When the league got to about 20, they had to put Luka back in.
And that was great. And now they have a chance to win it. Now, guys, you go out there and finish the game.
Do you not
keep those guys engaged?
The power of the hot hand.
No, not when you get to this point. No, there isn't. This isn't the regular season. This is the playoffs. So Steve Kerr did to me what you're supposed to do. Keep those guys engaged. Keep those guys confident. I believe in you. I'm not benching you. This isn't the time of like, why coach didn't give us a chance. We cut it down to 9. Give me a chance, coach. Okay. It didn't work well for them. But how many times have they carried the bench? How many times has Steph Curry carried the team? Klay Thompson and all those guys. You know what? I love it. I love it when you say, whether Mo's playing great or what, I believe in you. And when someone believes in you like that, they'll give you the respect right back. So guess what? Steve Kerr showed them that he believes in them. Now, guys, what you going to do in Game 5?
Yep.
Everybody has a bad game. So I thought it was the right thing to do, and I think those guys will be ready to play, and I think they will play with a renewed sense of energy and purpose. But more importantly, Steve Kerr now should have more confidence in his bench, knowing that he can go to his bench and maybe they can give him some good and some quality minutes.
It's a blessing in disguise. But, speaking of people believing in you and, having that faith in you, I feel like one thing that one player is going to stop believing in is Joel Embiid. I believe he's going to stop believing in NBA awards because not only did he miss out on the MVP, he was left off the NBA's All-NBA first team. The teams were announced earlier on today. We're going to go through team by team. On the first team, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, the MVP, Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, and Jason Tatum. BJ, what stands out to you about that first team? Is there a name that you would have thought should be on the first team ahead of any of them?
Giannis for sure. Okay,
Yep.
Jokic, he's MVP for sure. I thought Devin Booker should be on it. Luka, and who was the other one?
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum. Especially both of those guys had slow starts.
Yeah.
In particular, Luka. Okay, in particular, Luka.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, there's no way. Like, there's no way. So I think those guys were all NBA players. Don't get me wrong, but they were not better from start to finish than Joel Embiid. Absolutely, in particular, those two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it goes down to positions. So
season.
Both Embiid and Jokic were listed as forwards and centers, but they rank you by whichever position gets the most votes. So if there was no collective acknowledgement that one of them would be a center, one of them would be a forward, then you can see why it gets split. I think it's ridiculous. I think
Joel Embiid is a first team.
Yeah,
all
I think there shouldn't be positions on the ballot. I definitely think Embiid scoring title.
Jokic and Giannis for sure.
Yep.
Okay, Devin Booker, I thought was terrific. I really did. I thought he had a great regular season from start to finish. I thought he was terrific. And okay, I personally, I thought Jason Tatum was better than Luka this year.
Yeah, I think Tatum's better than Booker too. But so the second team, which features Joel Embiid, also has a few guys that were in and out of the MVP conversation. John Morant spent some time in the MVP conversation. Okay. Steph Curry started the year in the MVP conversation. DeMar DeRozan, up until All-Star break, was in the MVP conversation.
Can't argue that.
Kevin Durant was, up until his injury, also in the MVP conversation. So that first team versus that second team, if they had to play a game, who would you pick to win that game?
You know what? I don't that stuff doesn't interest me. I really, it really doesn't interest me. And here's why it doesn't interest me is because you're talking about all NBA players, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about team, and sometimes teams just don't have good fits. Yeah. Right. Luka and Jokic on the same team, that's not a good fit. Because defensively, that's not a good fit.
There's only so much Giannis can cover up.
Exactly. That's just not a good fit. Now, no disrespect to those players. And I say we, all players have deficiencies or weaknesses in their game. But if you're putting together a team, right, you can't have a team where clearly, we saw what Golden State did to Jokic. They included him in every screen roll. And then we know that's not Luka's strong point at this stage of his career. So I don't think that's a fair assessment.
Well, the third team was also announced, and it featured a couple older players. LeBron James and Chris Paul both made the third team. Trae Young and Karl-Anthony Towns, and Pascal Siakam of the Toronto Raptors.
Trae Young. Who was the other one?
Karl-Anthony Towns. Yeah. And Pascal Siakam.
Yeah. My only gripe with that, and Siakam, I thought had a terrific year, was Jimmy Butler or someone had to be included for the Miami Heat. I mean, you don't finish with the number one seed and not have anyone representing. So I would have chosen.
Well, I think because he only played 57 games, that was probably the reason why he wasn't.
What did LeBron play? 50 what?
Yeah, but LeBron is like 37, and he's LeBron, so the media are going to vote for him.
Okay, no. You said you're going to say 57 games or 50. Yeah. LeBron played how many games?
I think the same.
How many games did Chris Paul play? How many games?
LeBron played 56. Chris Paul played. Let me have a look. Chris Paul played 65 games actually.
Okay.
But I was surprised that, yep, Jimmy Butler, also Donovan Mitchell. A lot of people had Donovan Mitchell on their ballots. He didn't actually make it. Those two were the highest things, but there were some confusing votes. Someone voted Desmond Bain. Someone voted for Kyrie Irving. I think one person even voted for Tyler Herro. Some of the votes were insane. I'm not sure who votes on these things, but yeah, it's interesting. And I also don't like how these things tie into salaries. So Jason Tatum actually missed out on tens of millions of dollars last year for not making All NBA. Yet this year he's first in All NBA voting. So that's interesting how the league is going to look at that going forwards. But speaking of going forwards, tonight we have a crucial game. Game 5 in Miami. The series tied at 2-2. Whoever wins game 5 typically goes on to win the series. BJ, who do you like for tonight's game between the Celtics and the Heat?
You know, well, it's really too close to call it. And I'm going to say Miami probably is going to win this game. I don't know why I'm saying that. But I still think the Celtics are going to win the series.
So you think the Celtics will win game 6 and game 7?
It's yeah, I do. But Miami, I don't know what to think of Miami right now. Honestly, Mo, I don't know what to think. Honestly, yeah. I mean, if you're asking me, and I'm giving you my true,
I think they'll bounce back.
I have no idea.
I think they'll bounce back strong.
Right? I think Miami. I don't think they have a look. Mo, there's no way they could play worse than they played in game 4. There's no way. I mean, I guess it's possible.
Well, I hope there is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible. I don't know who's playing. I don't know anything coming into this game. But what I will say, Mo, is I think that Miami has to bounce back. But I think Boston is going to win the series. Well, I think that's what I think.
I think for me, the big difference maker is the Time Lord. If he's in there, Bam Adebayo can't be aggressive like he wants to be. And Bam Adebayo being aggressive is the key for Miami Heat winning the series and winning these games. So I think if Rob Williams can play,
you're underestimating Al Horford.
Yeah.
You're underestimating Al Horford.
You got to let me finish. You got to let me finish. Al Horford is great and Al Horford is consistent. The difference in Rob Williams playing is Daniel Tice getting minutes because Ime Udoka likes to play the two big lineups. And Daniel Tice has been getting cooked every single second he's been on the court in this series. It's nothing to do with Al Horford. It's to do with Daniel Tice. Even in garbage time in the last game, he somehow managed to get cooked completely every time he was on the court. That's the reason why it's so essential.
You just pick guys. No, he's not getting cooked. He's not getting cooked.
Go watch the tape.
He's not getting it. Yeah, I watched the tape. He's not getting cooked.
Yes, he is.
What's he getting cooked on?
They're scoring on him every time down.
No.
Daniel Tice.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He's not. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. You'll see it tonight if the Time Lord doesn't play. I can tell you that. If the Daniel Tice, as much as I love him, if he's got to play big minutes, it's not a good recipe for the Celtics. It's going to be interesting. Tyler Herro might be out. We were just talking about his injury, supposedly being an injury that takes 2 to 4 weeks to heal. Yet he's trying to rush back for this. PJ Tucker has some soreness in his knee. Jimmy Butler has been cleared to play. But we're going to have to see. I feel like this series is slowly turning into whoever has more able bodies being able to contribute on the court might just end up winning this because they keep dropping like flies throughout the 7-game series. It's now a best of 3. BJ thinks the Celtics can win it. I hope that he's right and the Celtics can win it. But
Mo, you'll be there for the NBA Finals. That would be great.
No. Not you. We will be there for the NBA Finals, BJ. We will be there.
In particular, you as the fan will be there dressed in green.
But I'll be at work. But I'll be at work, so I have to be impartial. You know what I'm saying?
When is that going to happen? When is that?
I will be impartial.
When will that happen?
The final.
You only pick against the Celtics, so that way, because you think that you think somehow that you jinx them when you pick them to win. That's the only reason you do that. It's not even genuine.
I picked the Heat to win this series in 6 games, and here we are tied at 2 games apiece.
Yeah, because you really want the Celtics to win.
Of course I want the Celtics to win. Everyone secretly wants the Celtics. Even the people who don't want the Celtics to win want the Celtics to win.
It just cracks me up all the time. It just cracks me up. You're like,
I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
Hey, Mo, peekaboo. No one can see you, Mo.
I know what I'm doing. We got to see. I'm intrigued to see if Marcus Smart can make his return back to the court as well, because he adds so much to that team. And for Miami, Max Strus had a horrific game. He put up the infamous Tony Snell stat line of 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0 in 15 minutes of action. So he's going to bounce back. And we spoke about Duncan Robinson getting his rhythm back in those garbage time minutes. We're going to see if that makes an impact in any way. The key is to not let Victor Oladipo get cooking. And if you can limit the starters like you did in game 4, then that's a good sign. But we are going to be watching the game live with you guys. So if you are staying up for the game, the weekend's almost here. So stay up, watch the game with us, take a nap during the day, take a nap during the afternoon, during the evening, and then tune in live with BJ and myself. It's on a new system called Playback. It's a website or an app. I've tweeted out all the instructions. It's free for you. All you have to do is create an account and then log in with your NBA League Pass login, and you can watch the game with us with no delays in real time. If you don't have NBA League Pass and you're watching on a stream, or if you're watching on Sky's TV or whatever TV provider you have, you can still join the chat. So you can still ask your questions and hear what we're saying. You just won't be able to see the game. You'll have to watch that on a separate screen or in a different tab. So it's free. It's simple. You get to watch the game with BJ and myself. We answer your questions live and direct. We've had 2 games so far. We did the Mavs Warriors game last night. That's why the podcast is a little bit shorter, because if you want to hear everything we talked about, we just did a 3.5 hour live stream covering that game. So if you want to hear more, you got to come and check us out tonight for the Celtics Heat game number 5. And I'll leave you with this. Tonight, the Mavericks game, the second half of the game was delayed because there was a leak in the roof as the rain was pouring down in Dallas. BJ, can you share with the listeners a story about one time when one of your games had to be postponed or delayed or canceled because of technical faults like that?
Yeah, in the good old days, you know, as my kids like to say, back in the day, there used to, you know, most of the arenas, they will have, you know, they were hockey teams. So during the springtime, the condensation from the ice up under the floor would come through. In many of the arenas, they're not air conditioned. So in the springtime, you have the ice, and then all those people in the building and so forth and so on. So they get a little slippery out there. So I've had a few postponements in my day, but you know what? Fortunately, never a game was canceled or anything. Got a little slippery out there. It's not quite the same caution and things that you see today. They're like, oh, just don't go on that side of the floor. It's a little slippery out there. So, you know, but it's all good though.
Man, like, so that actually happened in Boston in the TD Garden in game 3. You saw the guys sliding all over the place because the ice underneath the sides melt. But they're in Miami for game 5, no ice under the court. So hopefully things are going to be good. As I said before, make sure you're watching the game along with us. If you were at the watch along last night, you would have seen BJ Armstrong starring in an advert, in a commercial for Kellogg's Toaster Waffles. It was hilarious. If you missed it, then I suggest you join tonight's stream. But until next time, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, leave a rating. I'm back on YouTube as well today. I'm dropping a video. You're going to see that one this afternoon as well. So make sure you're there. And until next time, my peoples, thank you for listening. Thank you for rocking with us, and get buckets.